She was still texting, constantly, morning, afternoon, the middle of the night. I see you. You think I'm gone? I'm not. At first, the people receiving them told themselves it was grief turned sideways, anger masquerading as obsession. But the longer the messages continued, the more a different word started forming. One that didn't sit as comfortably, deliberate, controlled, surgical. Because the person those messages were supposedly coming from, the name on the screen, the voice everyone thought they recognized, she was already gone. And she had been, almost from the very beginning. For 4 years, a woman who was dead was made to feel alive. And the only reason it worked, the only reason it lasted as long as it did, is because the person doing it understood something most people never consider. When someone is texting you, you assume they exist. Omaha, Nebraska, November 2012. A Midwestern city stretched along the Missouri River, the kind of place where routines run deep, where people build quiet, steady lives, and where showing up is a part of who you are. The kind of place where when someone stops being seen, it should mean something. Most crimes are visible. A door forced open, a window shattered, something taken, something broken, something left behind that shouldn't be there. But some crimes are invisible by design. They happen in space between what's real and what people can be convinced to believe. And the most dangerous weapon in that space isn't a fist, a knife, or a gun. It's a message, arriving at the right moment, carrying just enough truth to make the lie believable. But sooner or later, karma collects. I'm Justin Luther, and these are the Karma Case Files. Cari Farver was 37 years old when she disappeared, and everyone who knew her would tell you the same thing. She was not the kind of person things happened to. She was the kind of person who made things happen. She was a computer programmer. She was smart. The kind of person who thought 3 steps ahead in any situation, who didn't make impulsive decisions, who kept their promises. She had a son named Maxwell. He was 10 years old when she vanished. By every account, she was an amazing mother. She showed up, every pickup, every game. She had recently started a new job she was proud of. She had her own apartment, her own car, her own life. People described her as someone grounded, someone who didn't disappear without a word, who didn't abandon her only child, who didn't leave a job she had just started. When she vanished in November 2012, the silence she left behind didn't feel like someone starting over. It felt like something had been interrupted. Dave was a mechanic in his early 40s, recently out of a long-term relationship and not looking for anything serious. He was easygoing, social, the kind of person who dated casually and was honest about it. He met Cari Farver in early 2012 through an online dating site. They clicked immediately. Over the span of a few days, they spent time together, long enough for something genuine to form. By all accounts, Cari was warm, interesting, engaged. Dave liked her. He was just clear about what he wanted, which wasn't a committed relationship. Not yet, maybe not for a while. But there was also someone else in Dave's life. Her name was Liz Golyar, and she and Dave had an on-again, off-again relationship that had been running parallel to his casual dating life. They had history, feelings complicated and unresolved. Dave didn't think of it as a serious commitment. Liz, as it would eventually become clear, did not see it in the same way. The relationship between Dave and Cari moved fast in the way earlier connections sometimes do, and then it all hit a wall. Cari pushed for more, expressed a desire to move in together, to formalize something. Dave pulled back. It was too much, too soon. He was honest about that. And then, almost overnight, the tone changed completely. A message arrived that read like a door closing. She was moving to Kansas City. She didn't want this anymore. She was done. Clean, final, and just slightly off. Not quite the voice of a woman Dave had been spending time with, but breakups are strange and people are unpredictable. So he didn't press it. That was the last time anyone can confirm that Cari Farver was alive. Within days of that final message, new ones started arriving. At first, they registered as what they appeared to be, the messy, painful aftermath of a short relationship that had ended badly. A woman who couldn't let go. Words came in sharp, then calmer, then sharp again. You think you can ignore me? I know where you live. You'll regret this. But they didn't stop, they didn't slow down, and they didn't stay between Dave and Cari. They spread. Liz started receiving messages as well, poisonous, specific, intimate in the way that suggested the sender knew things she shouldn't have known. Personal details, observations, the texture of a relationship described from the inside. You think you won? He's lying to you. I'm not done with you either. Liz, for her part, appeared shaken. She reported the harassment. She told Dave about the messages. She presented herself as a second victim of Cari's unraveling obsession. And Dave, watching both of them apparently targeted by the same source, had no reason not to believe her. Over the following months, the volume escalated beyond what anybody would associate with ordinary harassment. We're not talking about dozens of messages. Investigators would eventually document more than 10,000 messages sent across multiple fake emails and phone numbers. The digital trail would later prove that they were all coming from a single source. 10,000 over 4 years, sustained, deliberate, and organized with a consistency that spoke not to obsession, but to something colder: intent. In 2017, a fire broke out at Liz's home. She blamed Cari, blamed the harassment, the threats, the escalating danger she claimed to be living under. Investigators initially treated it as an arson connected to the ongoing harassment case. It was arson, but Liz had said it herself. The fire was staged, a performance designed to deepen the narrative she had been building, to make herself look more like a victim and to cast more suspicion on a woman who was already dead. There is a particular cruelty in what happened to Cari Farver's memory during those 4 years, and it's something I keep coming back to, a single assumption that almost everyone made without really questioning it. If someone is texting you, they're alive. It sounds almost too obvious to say out loud. And maybe that's why it worked, that assumption. It quietly shaped everything. As long as those messages kept coming, there was no missing person, just an angry woman who had chosen to disappear, and chosen to keep making noise about it. From the outside, it all seemed to make sense. Police pointed to the digital activity as proof that Cari was fine. Case closed, nothing to investigate. But her mother didn't think so, because she knew her daughter in a way the police never did, and she could feel that something wasn't right. Cari's mother, Nancy, never believed it. She hadn't heard Cari's voice, not a call, not a voicemail, not a message that arrived in a way only Cari would have sent it. She knew her daughter. She knew the way she spoke, the things she paid attention to, the way she wrote. And none of what was coming through those accounts seemed like her daughter. It sounded like someone trying to act like her daughter. She pushed for investigations that kept running into the same wall: the text, the emails, the digital activity. All of it pointing toward a woman who was alive and had chosen to go silent. The system kept finding reasons not to look further. Meanwhile, Maxwell, Cari's son, grew up waiting, a child who had been close to his mother, who had no explanation for why she left, who carried that silence into the years that followed. Her car remained in Omaha, her belongings went untouched. No one moved to Kansas City, no one started over. There was only the digital ghost, active, vocal, and utterly convincing to everyone except the people who actually knew her. The breakthrough didn't come from a witness or a confession, it came from a photograph. Liz had sent Dave a photo she claimed she had received from Cari, a threatening image, more evidence of harassment she was suffering. But investigators ran the metadata on the image and found something she hadn't considered. The photo had been taken on a device registered to Liz Golyar. She had taken it herself and sent it as though it had come from someone else. What followed was an investigation into 4 years of digital activity: IP addresses, login histories, device signatures. The accounts that had been sending messages in Cari's name were accessed from locations on the same devices by the same person. The messages weren't coming from an angry woman in Kansas City. They were coming from Omaha, from the phone and laptop of the woman who had been presenting herself as their victim. Every account traced back to Liz: the harassment, the threats, the staged suffering, the fire, the 10,000 messages sent over 4 years in the voice of a dead woman. All of it originated from one source: the person who had spent years positioning herself as the secondary victim of Cari Farver's obsession had been the only perpetrator from the very beginning. prosecutors argued that Liz Golyar killed Cari Farver in November 2012, likely inside her apartment, shortly after Cari began seeing Dave. The motive, as the state presented it, was straightforward: jealousy, possession, and the unwillingness to let someone else occupy a space Liz considered hers. What followed, prosecutors argued, was not panic, it was planning. The evidence was destroyed, and then Liz began constructing a digital version of Cari, an identity she could control, a voice she could use to manipulate the people around her and deflect any suspicion. Cari's remains were never fully recovered. Her final moments remain unknown. The full truth of what happened inside that apartment may never be established with certainty. In 2017, Liz Golyar was found guilty of the first-degree murder of Cari Farver. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. This is Karma Case File number 7. For years, Liz Golyar tried to convince the world that Cari Farver was still alive. She created messages, fake accounts, threats, an entire digital illusion. But lies have trails, and eventually, those trails lead somewhere. Because karma has a way of revealing the truth, no matter how carefully someone tries to hide it. I'm Justin Luther, and these are the Karma Case Files.